And you can kickstart the session for the day.
Yeah, so good morning and welcome to today's Trainer Tribe Masterclass. It's wonderful to see all of you on a Saturday morning. First and foremost, hope you're keeping safe and taking care of yourself, and hope you're having fun at home too. So once again, welcome. So today's topic, as we are all aware, is equipping young people for 21st century workspaces. Before I actually give the baton to Sushmitha, a couple of things that I'll run you over, and then I will hand it over to Sushmitha. Can we go to the next slide, Sushmitha?
Yeah.
So as you're all aware, this is a Trainer Tribe initiative. Trainer Tribe is a initiative of Quest Alliance, which is an online learning community of educators all over the country. So it's a platform wherein you can share your best practices. So in case you want to write about your experiences being part of this masterclass, feel free to use hashtag Trainer Tribe and put down your thoughts and feelings of being part of this webinar today. As you're aware, the host, that is myself, my name is Lenin. I've put you on mute, and it is for a specific reason, because we would have a large volume of participants joining us. So to just keep the learning going undistracted and to prevent the background noises, that's why you are on mute. But nevertheless, you have the chat box available. So feel free to use it at any point of the masterclass to leave your thoughts, feelings, opinions, questions, and you've definitely started discussing on the chat box with one of my favorite topics, which is food. So yeah, let's go forward. Yeah. So the chat box is right there. Yeah. So before we actually get into the topic that we are discussing today, I'm sure that most of us on the call here know what is Quest Alliance, but just to reiterate certain things what Quest Alliance does, and for people who are new to Quest Alliance. So Quest Alliance is a not-for-profit organization which works towards transforming school-to-work ecosystems through the medium of self-learning, through the strong three pillars of educational technology, capacity building, and collaboration. And the primary focus is 21st century skills. Over the years, we have reached out to 4,000 educators in 50 plus organizations. We have struck 7 state government partnerships. We work with 45 partners in 22 states across the country. So once again, welcome to this webinar, and we are very excited to have each one of you on a Saturday morning. Just taking a moment to thank our partners, our donor network, for spreading the word around for this masterclass, and they'll be doing it for the previous ones too. So just a moment to shout out of gratitude and thanks to the donor network. All right, so over to the facilitator for today, Sushmitha. I'll hand it over to her, and she will be driving this conversation with us today. Over to you, Sushmitha.
Okay, thank you, Lenin. And it's a much awaited thing for me as well to be on Trainer Tribe taking a masterclass. I have been associated with Trainer Tribe since we started thinking of the concept, and I still remember the first day on September 5th, I think about 3 years ago, when we sent out the invite and Trainer Tribe was launched in that way, and it was an extremely exciting day for me and Pallavi, who was my colleague at that point in time. So I'm really, really happy and excited to be part of the masterclass for the day. And I've learned a lot from previous masterclasses. And I really hope I'll be able to give back something to this beautiful community and maybe leave some thoughts, leave some thinking points for all of us. So I'll quickly introduce myself. My name is Sushmitha. I'm from Bangalore, Karnataka. And it's going to be a slightly formal introduction, but I'll also tell you a story in between. So I started out with a master's degree in English literature. And then I realized that's not what I want to do in my life at all. I think a lot of young people go through that dilemma once they complete their education or once they start working. They're like, what on earth am I doing? I'm not happy. So that moment happened to me as well. And after a couple of years, after understanding what I really wanted to do, I did another master's degree in human resource management from the University of Westminster. And this time it was I majored in learning and development, and that's the area that I really, really love to work. And I also deepened my understanding of experiential learning, which I had started learning with Vishwas Parchure, under Vishwas Parchure actually, at Pune. And I actually started working, my career started with the media space. I used to be on TV. I'm embarrassed about it. And I also worked in radio, in Radio Mirchi. And then I worked for EduComp Learning Services as an instructional designer. And finally, I was in Jain University while I was doing my experiential learning course. And only by the end of that, by the end of being with Jain, I actually knew what I really, really, really wanted to do with my life. And from the last 3 years, I've been realizing that dream after being in Quest Alliance. And I lead the facilitator and content development aspect for a program called MyQuest. And MyQuest works across 12 states, so I have the good luck of meeting a lot of people from different states, interacting, having their food. And my interest areas are in gender studies, education technology, and adult learning. I just love to try and understand how adults learn. What is it that kicks them? What is it that brings in that sense of purpose and joy? So that's about what I do. And I think we should start off the day, this beautiful weekend, with a bit of a game. And oh, sorry, there are some norms before that. I'll just quickly take you through the norms for the session for the day. Firstly, kindly respect the learning for yourself and others. Keep your answers short and on topic. Take notes. Kindly just, relax and take some notes, ask some questions. Keep the conversation engaging and going. Please don't start any side conversations with others. The entire weekend is there for us to go back on Trainer Tribe and chat later. Please don't harass facilitators or other participants. Attend the training as much as possible in a quiet place with minimal disturbance. In the past, I've seen people actually standing in a bus or on a two-wheeler while they're moving, or inside a car attending workshops. I mean, it does talk about their commitment to actually attend, but it naturally does not allow for a peaceful, quiet learning environment. So kindly try to be in a quiet place. And finally, like Lenin said, use the chat box for any comments or questions. So if you agree, if you are sehmat about these goals, about these norms, please leave a yes. If there are any points that you disagree or something that you don't like, then you can say no, and then we can have a conversation about it. So if you agree, please leave me a S, and then we can move forward. Okay, seeing a lot of yeses. Great, thanks for agreeing to these norms, and let's honor these norms as we go along. And like I said, we must start with the game, because what's life without some fun? This game is called Run and Get It Done. So like this kid, in the next 30 seconds, you will start running to find a couple of things that I'll tell you to find. So I will be showing a particular word on screen. So for example, the word could be red. And if it is red, you'll have to quickly go into different parts of your home and find something red and come and show it to me. So turn on your cameras, and if possible, please turn on your cameras. And once the word is on the screen, go grab that particular object, whichever is relevant to the word that's shown on the screen, and then show it to us. So if the word is black, you can just show this, because this is black in color. So are we ready? Is this clear? If there are any doubts, you can ask me now. If it's clear, just leave me a yes. I'll show a word on screen. You will have to turn on your camera first and then go and get that particular object. Cool, so let's turn on our cameras firstly. Whoever is willing to, whoever feels comfortable to turn on your cameras, please turn on your cameras. Oh, lovely to see so many faces. Sanjana, I can only see a few from my screen. Do you think there are a lot of people who have turned on their cameras?
There are only 7 people who have turned on the cameras.
Okay, that's fine. But if more of you would, like to join and play this game and turn on your camera, would love to see.
People are joining.
Love to see more energy. Cool. So those of you who are joining right now, please turn on your camera. You'll see a word on the screen. Like this kid, you'll have to run super fast, grab that thing, and come and show it to us. Are you ready? Just show me a thumbs up if you're ready. All right. So the word is breakable. Quickly find something that is breakable. Run, 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 run. Okay. All right. So those of you who got inspired, come on, turn on more cameras and show us more things. We'll be happy to play the game. Shall we go to the next word? All right, Janani is saying yes, let's go. The next word is soft. Find something soft. Awesome. All right, awesome. Thank you. Pallavi, come on, Pallavi. I would love to see your face. I would love to see Amala. Pallavi, come on. Yeah, great. Shall we go to the next word? Cool. So the next word is blue. Quickly, quickly. Let's go grab something blue.
Blue color.
Mitesh, what is yours? Your shirt.
Yes.
Sanjana, Lenin. Awesome. Okay, so let's go to the last. Okay, let's go to the last word. And this probably some of you may have to actually get up and go and get this particular thing. Are you ready?
Sushmitha?
Yeah.
Can you just repeat the instruction once more? There are some people have just joined us now.
All right, all right. So, okay, thanks, Lenin. So for the ones who just joined in, what we have to do is simple. We have to turn on our cameras and I will be showing a couple of words or I'll be saying a couple of words and you'll have to quickly go and grab that particular thing. So if I say grab a yellow thing, you'll have to run and grab a yellow thing and show it to the camera. Simple. Okay. All right, so let's do a trial run. Grab a red colored object. Anything that is red in color. Just grab a red colored object. And let's have some music. All right, Pallavi, Amala, Mitesh. Super. Okay, so now is the last word. Let's have it. Please go grab a glass or a bottle of water and come back. Well done, Sanjana. Mitesh ji, you have your water? Okay. Let's just enjoy the music for a bit. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. And I hope you all got your glass of water and settle down. So keep hydrating yourselves and let's enjoy the next 1.5 hours. Um, thank you for playing the game. I hope you had fun. All right, so this is what we are planning to cover today in this session. Firstly, we'll try to understand who are youth and what do they really want. The second objective is what is so special about the 21st century anyway? And then what's the future of work looking like? A couple of concepts called the VUCA world in Industry 4.0. And finally, what are some strategies that we can use as educators to build 21st century skills among young people? So these are the 4 topics that we'll be covering for the day. So firstly, let's start off by answering this question. So please let me know in the chat box, what did your future look like when you were 18 or 20 years old? What did you look forward to? What were some feelings? What was going on in your mind when you were around 18, 20 years of age? Just a short sentence in the chat box will do. Pandian sir didn't give any thought about it. Mary, it was exciting. Akash, you wanted to work with youth and become a chef. Okay. Pallavi, you wanted to become a dietitian. All right. Any more responses? We'll just take 2 more responses and move to the next slide. James, you wanted to be a professor. Sanjana, you wanted to become a fitness coach. Awesome. So this is what your future looked like. Pandit Rutesh, you wanted to be in the forces. Anto, you wanted to be a commissioned officer. Awesome. So let's just move, come back from our past and think about the young people of today. What do you think the future looks like for young people of today? What do you think their aspirations are? What do you think they could be feeling at this point in time, sitting in 2020? Suresh wanted to be in the police department. Okay. Anand wanted to be an entrepreneur. Cool, let's move to this question and have some responses for this. What do you think the future looks like for young people of today? They're preparing for jobs which are non-existing now, very true. It's a highly competitive world. They seem to be in a more confused state. At present, some express a sense of challenge. They also want to enjoy themselves, yes. What else do you think is the nature of young people of today? They struggle with many challenges. There's lots of demand for skills. They need to be innovative and creative. Yes, Pallavi. Too many options. Everything seems to be constantly changing. Very true. Opportunities are more, but no right path. Okay. Great. It is true. Like, it's a very challenging space. It's a very challenging time for young people, especially after the corona and the COVID-19 virus hit the world. Let's go a little bit into data. Let's go and understand what does it actually look like for young people, especially in India. And I'm going to show you 2 numbers on the screen, and you'll have to guess which is the 3rd most populated country in the world with 600 million population. So we're moving towards understanding more about youth, and therefore these numbers are on the screen. Which do you think is the 3rd most populated country in the world with 600 million population? You can take a wild guess. Brazil, maybe, maybe not. USA. Brazil, Indonesia. Quick, let's guess quickly. USA. Well, it's actually not USA. It's not Spain. It's not Brazil. It is, so technically China is the 1st most populated country. 2nd is India, and 3rd is the USA. However, USA has a population of around 300 million. And at 600 million, the population is that of Indian youth. So just the youth of India, if we take them and put them in a separate place on earth, they can be the third highest populated country in the world. So that's the number of young people in this country. We are the youngest country in the world. We have the maximum number of youth as compared to any other nation in any point of time in history in the world. So that's one important demography to keep in mind when we try to understand young people. What do you think these numbers are? What do you think is 1.3 billion? And then what do you think is 31 million? Again, just give me some guesses and then I'll give you my response as well. Pallavi, India, you say India at 1.3 billion. Okay. What do you think is 31 million? Currently unemployed in India. Yes, 1.3 is India's population, and SM got it right. So 1.3 billion is the total population of India, around 1.3 billion and growing. And 31 million, again, 31 million and growing is the population of unemployed people in our country at this point in time. Another important demography to remember. Unfortunately, Pandian, that's not the case. Youth ready for employment in the world in India. No. Let's just read this small quote and understand another and the final demography that we need to understand. About 42% of the youth who are aged between 15 to 29 years, that's the technical definition of a young person in the world. So about 42% of the youth who received formal technical training were not part of the labor force at all. That is, they were not working or seeking employment opportunities. And this is a statistics about India, the latest, it is quite recent. It's about 2019 Wala statistics. So what are these young people who have been trained and some who have not been trained? What are they even doing? Where are they? What is their status? What is the status of this 600 million population? And one of the very scary statistics is called NEET. And 30% of Indian youth are neither in employment, education, or training. That's what NEET stands for. Neither in employment, education, not in employment, education, or training. So they're out of the labor force, they're out of the technical training space, and they are just existing with limited opportunity, limited abilities, and it's quite a scary number. It's more scary a number than unemployment actually. And so if a lot of these young people are, some of them are in training, some of them are not in training, some of them are in NEET, what do you think they are doing most of the time? Where do young people of India spend most of their time? Prabhu, NEET is neither in employment, education, or training. Not in employment, education, or training. It's a term coined by International Labour Organization. All right, let's answer this question on the screen. Sanjana says PUBG. Where do young people of India spend most of their time? Mitesh says social media. Online takes a lot of time. Government job preparation. Okay, true. Social media. Mobile phones, unproductive things, games. Unpaid jobs, disguised employment in household. Very, very true. Disguised unemployment. Yes. Mobile phones. Yes. So let's actually see what, and there's also a lot of stress on young people. That's very true. This is what data says about what young people are doing. This is not the only truth, but this is one of the big truths. As per latest data, Indians are spending the highest amount of time on social media in the world, and it's bordering on addiction almost. It's very visible to us, this particular statistic. And as per McKinsey's latest report on Indian online trends, there is an estimated 560 million internet subscribers in India as of September 2018. And I'm sure the number has only increased right now. Let's see what they actually do online. So as you can see, this is a screen grab from a social media platform called VMate. It is very, very similar to TikTok. So they're either capturing some kind of recipes, or they're going back to elders to understand what's happening, to understand certain skills. So some kind of skill building happens, or there is some kind of display of their own skills. They want recognition, they want to display what they're able to do. And like this young man who's advertising his sari, they also use these same platforms for very creative, smart, intelligent means as well. However, when young people were asked by Education Times as to what do you do in your spare time, these were the maximum number of responses. They say they either sleep, eat, or watch TV series. They said TV, या laptop, या mobile phone, YouTube, Insta, Facebook. If I'm not hanging out with my friends. These are some actual responses from young people. Some data says that, another important data says that 50% of young people watch at least one video a day. And I'm sure it's very relatable, this particular data point, that all of us, if you just check around, look around, observe around, we're watching at least one video, one video a day. Indian millennials spend 2 hours on an average on mobile phones. Young people on a daily basis are spending 2 hours. And India's ban on TikTok deprives the country of its favorite pastime. This is kind of a haphazard reality of the country, of the young people as of today in the country. And let's try to understand a little bit more about what exactly are young people even doing, and where are they? Where are their energies? What are they doing? So firstly, on the negative trend, on the scary, on the alarming trend, is there's a huge amount of gender divide in terms of access to education, access to employment, access to resources, and even access to life itself. So there is that harsh reality. Gender divide in terms of safety, in terms of healthcare, and all of that. There's also a severe technology divide, especially during the COVID-19 times. It's becoming more and more apparent, this technology divide. Those who have access to internet and technology have access to learning, have access to resources, have access to information and fake news. Whereas there are, hundreds and millions of young people who don't have this at all because they don't have access to a smartphone. So this technology divide is also a very important feature of lives of young people. Higher education, again, is a space that sees a huge amount of, demarcation and huge amount of divide in terms of access. Especially girls are not able to access higher education in this country. There's also a severe trend of addiction to social media and to drugs that young people battle with. And currently, India is standing at one of its highest unemployment rates, which is at 23.5%. And definitely COVID-19 is not helping this trend at all. While this is one reality, there's also another reality of young people in the country, and they are in the form of stories. And I would like to share a couple of stories here. There are stories of innovation. I've left a couple of names here. If you are keen, if you are enthusiastic and interested, please go Google these young people, and they are enough to give us that adrenaline rush that we need and the inspiration we need. So there is a person called Drone Pratap. He's from the Mandya district in Karnataka, and he is using drones to deliver medicine to places which don't have easy access via transport. So that's an amazing story of this young man. There's not enough time to tell you the story, but please go look up Drone Pratap. Young people are also very, very good with creativity and with building jugaad. So there's this boy called Arun Prabhu from Tamil Nadu who's built a house, who's built a mobile house using a simple auto rickshaw house. And that is, according to him, a solution to the lack of housing in the country. And we also have heard of the story of Jyoti Kumari. She is really the epitome of resilience. She went from Gurgaon and she came all the way to Bihar with her father, cycling because her father was injured. And this happened just when the lockdown started. So there are these stories as well. And young people are using the platform economy. They're using technology to leverage their own careers, to kickstart their careers, to to just give themselves that push they need in life. And Kriti Chowdhury is just one small, it's just one small example of millions of young people who are able to build careers. And Kriti Chowdhury is one of the first people who started an online boutique, and she's from Delhi. And finally, the story, young people are also really, really good with self-employment and entrepreneurship building as well. So I'd like to share with you the story of PC Mustafa, who is from Kerala. And most South Indians would be familiar with idli and dosa batter. And this is the guy we need to thank, because he's a school dropout, and he was ideating with his cousin about what they could do in life, what jugaad they could do in life, and they came up with this idea, and it became a big hit. So if we look at this one particular slide, it's evident that young people, not just in our generation, in any generation, have always had this divide. There's always the struggle, there's always the trauma, the stress, the getting pulled into the wrong direction. Plus, there's always the story of hope, of young people really doing the big, difficult job of nation building and generation building. Uh, so when we try to say equipping young people, we need to understand that young people are on all ends of the spectrum. They're in the middle of the spectrum, and they're constantly juggling a very complex world. Any questions at this point? Or any comments, anything that you would like to share from your experience of working with young people? So we'll just take a 10-second pause, and if any of you would love to share your stories, if we give them space and motivate them, they shall do wonders. That is indeed very true. Young people look out for something challenging in you. Yes, they always love a hashtag challenge. Great. So keep those stories coming. It takes a little bit of time to type it and send it out, but let's move ahead. Role models and mentors are very important. Agree. Okay, let's go to the second point that we were to discuss today, which is so can you please mute yourself? Sonu, kindly mute yourself. Thank you. Okay, let's go to the second point, which is what defines the 21st century. What is so special? What is so remarkably different about the 21st century? Here's a small clue, and I would love to see your guesses or your responses to this particular question. There's a clue on the screen, but feel free to share your insights as well. What do you think defines the 21st century? Again, no right or wrong answers. It's about perspectives. It's about insights. Technology. Amala says technology. Digital era, okay. Internet. Digital platforms. Innovation, more opportunities. Beautiful responses. Keep them coming. More opportunities, yes. Things are interdisciplinary. Yes, very true. Increased private enterprise, continuous learning, language literacy, Internet of Things. Yes, uncertainty, very true. New normal and self-learning. Awesome, wonderful responses. And I'm so happy to see some of the words pop up, which I'm going to discuss a little later. So let's just try to understand what really is unique about 21st century. I've just put together a couple of things which I understood from the research I did. So if you think there is something missing here, if you think there's something else that needs to be added, kindly feel free to share your opinion in the chat box. So firstly, it's all about connectivity and communication. The way connectivity and communication take place in the 21st century is remarkably different from what happened earlier in the entire history of the world. Because we use technology and communication to just collapse the expanse of the world. So the world has turned into a global village. So whatever happens, things happen in a big way. There is global politics affecting, affecting countries, affecting nations at the same time. If there's a health crisis, it becomes global. COVID-19 is the most solid example. Economy also, it's not just about the economy of India or the economy of US or Bangladesh anymore. There is a globality, there is a interdependency in terms of how politics and economy takes place, and that is also one remarkable difference about how 21st century functions. In this era, there's an explosion of opportunity, and there's also this unique thing of micro news generation. Meaning, just like TikTok is a platform, Twitter is a platform, news gets generated by the people and in micro sites and in micro sizes. And it's also led to the problem of fake news. However, earlier there was one solid source of news, which was the media, which was the central government or people in power who were closest to access to news. However, that's not the case today. There's an explosion in terms of how news gets generated and spread. Also, because of all of these things, there is a severe impact on environment, and the destruction of the environment is at its highest. But also conservation of environment, with people like Greta Thunberg and Leonardo DiCaprio leading these efforts. There's a lot of conversation around environmental conservation as well. So the second important feature of 21st century is to do with data and how data gets collected, analyzed, and disseminated. So as they say, kindly mute yourself. As they say, data is the new oil. It's really the richest source of information, the richest source of market trends. It's the richest source of valuable wisdom based on which markets are making their strategies and trends. So macro data, big data has become a thing now of enormous importance. So there are new jobs and new spaces that are growing in terms of data scientists. There's innovation because of data, and there are a lot of predictions that can happen at a global scale as well as at a micro, very, very small scale as well. Innovations and predictions are happening because of data. So that's another big feature about the 21st century. Let me explain about the concept of global village. So global village is an idea which came about 15-20 years ago, which was basically about understanding the world not as a huge entity with separate nations and separate borders, but looking at the entire world as one entity, as one culture, as one big community, because of connectivity, because of the ability to quickly communicate and quickly connect with one another. Cool. So, and the third and the last feature which I felt was unique was in the space of skills and learning. So 21st century skills, especially 21st century skills, when we talk about them, we talk about these four at Quest, which is critical thinking, communication, self-awareness, and relationship building. These are extremely essential skills to have in the 21st century, which are unique and perhaps not that greatly necessary, when compared to earlier times. So there's also a need for continuous learning. There's a need for self-learning, digital fluency. There's a big need to establish and respect diversity. This was something that was not happening earlier. And if we don't get into a space of continuous learning at this point, there's a high possibility that we will fall behind in the race. We will be left out of the skill bandwagon. Another feature is to actually educate despite challenges. We can see that during the COVID-19 times, there are a lot of educators who are taking to unique ways to educate. And finally, there's also the fear and the excitement of automation. There's a belief that robots will come and take away human jobs, but there's also an argument that human beings are always going to be necessary because they bring in the soft skills. However, automation is taking place at a super rapid rate. And this is what, according to my understanding, are some features which are very, very unique about the 21st century. Any questions or any comments at this point? Lenin, can you please mute? Any comments, any insights? Are there anything else that you feel should be added to this conversation? Brinda, you agree? Okay, digital fluency, it's a term I learned at Quest actually. Digital fluency means being able to comfortably and confidently use technology or a technological device. So earlier there was the conversation about digital literacy, meaning one needs to understand and know digital tools. One needs to have a basic understanding of how to work things and how things work. Digital fluency is the next level of digital literacy, which is being able to confidently use things, being able to adapt to new technology, being able to have that sense of let me try, or let me see how this works. So being able to be fluent and comfortable with newer technology and with the technology devices is called digital fluency. At least that's my understanding. Akash, if you can explain that in a better way, kindly do that. Increasing disparity is also unique to 21st century. Very true. And as disparity keeps getting more and more vocal, also people who are calling out disparity are also becoming very vocal. Black Lives Matter is a case in point. More of artificial intelligence dependency may emerge. Yes, Mary, it's already happening. Cool. So thanks for your responses. Let's move on. So I was talking to you about these two concepts that I'll introduce today. So a lot of you may already know about it. There is the idea of the 21st century being a VUCA world, meaning things are volatile, things are always uncertain, they're complex, and there's a lot of ambiguity about how things could be in the next 5 years. So if you notice, the last 5 years are very, very different from the oncoming 5 years. And especially understanding these four terms, I don't think we can do it any other time in history better than what we are experiencing now due to COVID-19. Things are volatile, everything's uncertain, market realities are uncertain. The world has turned into a very, very complex space, and everything is ambiguous. We don't know how the next 1 year is going to shape up. So no amount of strategy building for the next ongoing years to come will stay the same, because we don't know how the world is going to transform itself. This is because of education technology. This is also because of innovation, severe amount of automation. All of these things have turned the 21st century time into a VUCA world. This is one globally prevalent concept today. There's another concept called Industry 4.0, which is coming up in a big way. Let me know if I'm going too fast. I can slow down. Sanjana, Lenin, am I fast?
No, Sushmitha, we're good. We're good. Your pace is good.
Okay, cool. So Industry 4.0, as you can see, is a result of the industrial revolution. And as any other industry or as any other thing in life, there has to be a progression and a development to how things are conceived and how things are realized. And even in the space of automation industry as well, this has happened. So in the 18th century, what really happened was the concept of the industry, the concept of producing something using a machine came up. And then there was Industry 2.0, where the Ford system became very, very popular and prevalent, where mass production and assembly line, that concept of assembly line, which is shown beautifully in Charlie Chaplin's movie Modern Times, that concept came into being. So things started getting produced really fast, and there was a replication of the same kind of thing. So you could produce at least like a 1 billion Ford cars, which looked exactly the same, which did exactly the same job. And then Industry 3.0 came about, like about 25 years ago, not even 20, I think 50 years ago, which spoke about bringing in technology, bringing in computers and automation into this industry space. And what happened because of that? The ledger system or bookkeeping system went away, and the idea of automating a lot of functions in the industry, especially with regard to finance management, with regard to how machines worked, with regards to how speed and accuracy were able to be realized, that got more and more accurate, more and more speedy because of automation, because of technology being introduced into the space of industry. This is something that we're all familiar with, because how, if you walk into any industry, for example, even if you walk into, say, the Nandini factory, which produces milk, we will see a lot of automation, we'll see a lot of computers and electronics, being used in that machine. Now there's a new concept that's slowly emerging called Industry 4.0. And this is a result of Internet of Things. It's a result of cyber physical systems. Again, it's a very new space. I know little about it, but I'll try to explain. Industry 4.0 literally has two major functions. One is severe customization. When I say severe, it means, so Ford used to produce 1 billion cars that look the same. In Industry 4.0, people today want things to be customized for them. For example, my YouTube, my YouTube interface will look very different from yours. If you watch a lot of Malayalam content, what you see will be different from me, who will watch, say, Kannada and English content. So that kind of customization has become a norm. The way my phone looks will be different from yours. The way I want my car to look and feel, the aspiration is that I want it to be different from yours. So to cater to this kind of aspiration and comfort of the customer, Industry 4.0 is getting into customization. And that's one big feature. The second feature is that of making everything smart. So there are smart homes, there are smart cities. You walk in and you just snap your finger and things happen as per your need. So to being able to cater to this kind of demands, to this kind of wanting of everything to be very individualistic, that's where Industry 4.0 is moving into. And it requires Internet of Things because it requires everything to be in sync. My computer has to be connected to my phone, has to be connected to the geyser, to the light, etc., etc. While this seems like very privileged kind of a concept, is also used for extremely useful things. One of the very useful things that I understood was tracking endangered animals. So for example, they add a chip into each tiger, and it's the concept is that of a smart forest. So being able to track a tiger's movement, being able to analyze how it moves, and being able to use that data to track and to get its own behavioral trend. So that's the idea of Industry 4.0. And Industry 4.0 concept is also leading to a concept called Education 4.0. I won't talk about it much. It's a fairly interesting and simple concept to understand. I request Lenin to share 4 links to all of you. He'll be sharing it now, and he'll also be sharing it later after the class is over. So the first two links are about the concept of Industry 4.0. If you're interested, kindly read it. The next two links are about Education 4.0 and how should we educate, how should we move our education spaces to meet this new demand in the industry. So that's the concept that is captured in the next two links. Yeah, so you can see the links on the screen. So these are really the features of 21st century. This is what is unique about the 21st century. It's a VUCA world. It's a world where Industry 4.0 is coming up. It's a world that is highly connected by technology. The aspiration is to customize. The aspiration is to make everything smart and to make everything understood using big data. Can I move on? What's the time? It's already 12. Great. Any questions, any comments? Let's just do a temperature check. How is everyone feeling? Are you bored? Do you want to play a game? Can we continue? What do we do next? We have two more topics to cover. So before that, just tell me, how are you feeling? Thanks, Mary. Thank you that you found this useful. What do we do? Do we go on? Do you want to play a game, or shall we just move quickly? Okay, so interested, bored, sleepy. That's the three things that we collect. Okay, continue. All right, let's continue then. So when I was trying to understand what is Industry 4.0, what is 21st century, all of that, I was Googling a lot. And when I Googled this term, what is 21st century, the only thing that kept coming up was 21st century skills. You can try it. It's very, very hard to find a definition to this question, what is 21st century? It will continuously keep telling you it's about 21st century skills. It's about building skills. It's about teaching. It's about learning. So 21st century, I think, is also majorly about teaching and learning. So let's move into that space now. Now that we have an understanding of young people and we have an understanding of 21st century, what do you think as educators, what do you think are the skills needed to thrive in this 21st century? What are a few skills we all should have so that we excel, we are comfortable, we are fluent in the 21st century? Digital literacy, fluency, self-awareness, digital literacy, collaborative skills, take the first step, initiative, self-awareness, team building is very important, critical thinking, communication skills are important, teamwork, awareness, very true, design thinking, problem solving, empathy. Empathy is very, very, very important in the 21st century, I agree. It's one of the most difficult skills to develop, actually. Great, thanks for your responses. Let's go into understanding what are the skills that we actually need. So before that, we'll again play a game, a simple question answer game to understand what skills do we actually need. So what type of jobs have reduced or vanished in the last 5 years? There are some clues on the screen, but just think about it. Think about your own childhood and respond to this question. What types of jobs have reduced or vanished in the last 5 years? And your guesses, please share it in guesses and responses in the chat box. Typist. Classical jobs have gone. Matlab, what are classical jobs? Pandian, sir, can you explain a little bit? Paying of bills in the traditional way of going and standing and paying bills. Yes, that's been reducing a lot. Post and letters, yes. So the people who have not been responding so far, I would love to see your names also come up in the chat box. So if you haven't responded till now, please feel free to respond. Or if you don't know the response to this, at least just say hi. It's fine. Tax assessment has changed. Post and letters, true. Traditional grocery stores, yes, those small shops, those are actually unfortunately vanishing. Ticket booking counter, all sorts of very nice insight. All sorts of repetitive jobs are actually getting automated. Very true. Fax is completely gone. Book stalls, very true, Ramya. Book stalls, there used to be a lot of bookshops, those have reduced. Awesome. So I think Ramya, this is your first response. So happy to just converse with you. Great. Let's move to the next one. Yes, Rutesh, those requiring human connect have reduced or vanished. Now let's think about our immediate past. So what are some new jobs that have come up in the last 5 years? Again, few clues are given to you on the screen. Bots have come up. New job roles, new opportunities that you have observed. Swiggy, online jobs, drone, yes, drone operators, data analytics, yes, food delivery, tech support. Janani, I think you're also a first time respondent. Thanks for responding. Marketing, yes. Gig economy. Prabhu, would you like to just type in a few sentences and explain the concept of gig economy to us, please? YouTube content generation, very true, new job. Calling cabs, rise of machines, online booking, automated, very, very nice responses and very true. Zoom meetings, yes. Business intelligence and big data, very true, beautiful insights. Prabhu sir has also explained the concept of gig economy. Gig economy is the rise of freelancers and contractual jobs. So if anyone's wondering what is this gig economy, it's an economy that is codependent on another economy called platform economy, which is using of a technology based platform. It can be an app, it can be a website, any technology based platform when we use and we create jobs, those are called platform economy jobs. Gig economy is a space where you're looking for gigs, you're looking for opportunities and contractual jobs and freelancing jobs. Great. Let's move on and try to understand exactly how the world of work has been changing. What did it look like in the past and what is it looking like in the present and what will it look like in the future? A lot of this is self-explanatory. It's a very, very simple diagram, but I'll still just say one or two sentences. Artificial intelligence as well. Yes, thank you for your responses. So what did the workspace, what did workspace look like in the past? There used to be a very stipulated, clear working hour. It used to be 9 to 5, 10 to 4, whatever. And working hours now have literally become anytime. Like there is no stipulated working hour. That concept is changing rapidly. Earlier, the workspace had to be a factory, had to be an office. One had to go to the office. But right now, especially after COVID-19, many companies are realizing that work from home can be a very, very sustainable, viable option. So work from anywhere is also taking place. So for a person who is a Swiggy delivery person or a Ola or Uber driver, their workplace is actually the anywhere that has a road. So that concept has changed. career growth used to happen according to the company. So there was a very clear L1, L2, L3 kind of a system, and one had to move through that system. But now, career growth actually happens as per performance, as per your skill, as per how smart you come across, and how much initiative you take. So that idea of L1, L2 also is slowly changing and it's going away. Uh, and in this blue box, as you can see, earlier there used to be a predefined, clear set of tasks. Like my mother used to be a banker, and I remember very clearly that if she was a cashier, if she was playing the role of a cashier, she had to do only 7 to 10 things. I mean, whatever she had to do, it was very, very clear. And then if she moved into that of a FD loans and FD associate or something, she was for some time. And that time also, it was very clear what she had to do. And just when she was about to quit her, when she was about to retire, there was a concept called the single window operator, which literally said that she had to do a little bit of a cashier's role, a little bit of FD, little bit of loan, little bit of check processing. So it became customized based on the needs of the customer. So from being very stipulated kind of work environment, she had to move into a role where she had to do everything. So work became more fluid. And that's also the reality of how the job market is changing. Earlier, if you talk to your parents, your grandparents, your elders, they will tell you, I used to go to work and this is what I used to deliver on. But right now, if you look at your and my work roles, there is nothing that is very fixed. Our JDs can change year to year. From 6 months to 6 months, our entire life can change, and it's based upon the needs of the stakeholder, based upon the needs of the customer. So again, customization like Industry 4.0, it's happening as we speak. So shall I move to the next slide? If I get a yes, I'll move to the next slide. Okay, Mary, super fast. Thank you. Again, 4 more points. Earlier, company information used to be very, very secretive. They would not share information. It was a thing of pride to capture and keep information safe about a particular company. Like Toyota would not share its strategies or would not share its learnings to another company like Ford. So that would never happen. They were two extremely independent entities and they would do everything in secrecy. However, now that culture, because of social media, has changed. There's a lot of interdependency. Quest itself is a great example of how learnings are shared. We have created the Q2L platform to share our learnings, to invite other organizations to share their learnings, their struggles. So that culture of sharing, of collaboration has become a big thing at a company level and also at an individual level. So there's a cultural shift in how information is shared and consumed. Earlier, there used to be a use of only company equipment, be it a printer, be it a PC, be it a machine. It used to be only company related devices that were used. But right now, a lot of us use our own devices, we use our own phone, a computer to conduct our work. That's another culture shift. Lot of earlier work used to be focused on knowledge and degrees. If you wanted to even get inside the interview room, you had to have a certain degree, you had to have a certain qualification that makes you eligible to enter the room. But now that's not the case. I know a lot of my friends who don't have the degree that matches the actual job that they do. Like I have a friend who's actually a college dropout, but he's doing extremely well in the media space and he's leading a very big team, and that's got nothing to do with his computer science background. So right now, the market is skill focused. If you have the skill, if you have the ability to learn and adapt to the technology, one can find a job and one can grow and thrive in the job. That's also a big culture shift that has taken place in the workplace. And finally, learning earlier only used to happen through company sponsored or workshops and courses that were managed or directed by the company. Like my mother used to go on trainings that her bank used to send her on, and that used to be the norm. But now that's not the case. We can all do online courses, we can take MOOCs, we can attend workshops, we could be doing certifications on the go, and learning can be literally done anytime, anywhere. That's also the feature of Education 4.0. If you go back and read those links, you will understand what you and I are doing right now in this Zoom workshop is Education 4.0. All right. So these two slides I just wanted to show you to give you a comparative analysis of how things are rapidly changing and how our realities have morphed because of technology, because of change in culture, because of communication, and the 21st century larger reality. Here's a small excerpt from one of the research that Quest was involved in with LinkedIn. And this is what the industry is actually saying. I'll just take a 15-second pause. So all of you, please read what is on the screen and leave your comments in the chat box. I don't want to talk much about this slide. It's very simple. Read it, and whatever is your response, please leave it on the chat box. I'll take a 30-second break. Yes, Ramya, agree. So once you're done, just leave a comment saying done. And if there are sufficient number of dones, I'll move on to the next slide. Awesome. Lots of dones and lots of responses and insights as well. So like you can see, the industry is also saying that hard and soft skills are very important. There will be automation, there will be a lot of machines and robots taking over, but there will also be jobs that require human beings because soft skills are as important as hard skills. Soft skills make customization possible. Soft skills make that smart city, that smart car, or whatever it is that Industry 4.0 is moving towards, makes that possible. And soft skills also make that big gap that we were talking about, gender divide, in technology divide, education divide. To bridge that huge gap, it is human beings who are also required, and it is the skills of hard and soft skills of ability to continuously learn, to have the communication, critical thinking, self-awareness. These are the skills that are really, really required in the 21st century. Great. Some three important things that as educators that we need to know. I think all of you already know this concept, but I just wanted to refresh our memory. So when we educate a young person, or when we educate ourselves, or when we educate, there are three aspects that take place. One is knowledge building. When you teach someone something, or when you teach yourself something, firstly, you need to understand the concept or the theory. So there's a knowledge part that gets activated. Then there's the component of skill that needs to get activated based on the knowledge, which is what I do with what I know. So skill is actually the ability to do something. So you know the concept of mountaineering, And then to actually be able to climb the mountain is the skill. And finally, the third important aspect of education, of any education, is attitude building, which is how do I approach or how do I work with what I know and what I can do. So it's the mindset, it's the behavior piece. And I'd like to share with you one of my most favorite examples, which is the concept of learning how to make tea. If you have to make chai, first of all, you should know the concept of ratio between tea powder, water, milk, etc., etc. So that's the concept. Then the skill part is actually being able to light on that stove and bringing it to the right temperature, adding the right amount of powder and sugar, etc. The attitude part here is that if you are a male and if you think, I am a male, why should I make tea? Why should I make tea for my partner? I'm the head of the family. Why should I be the one serving tea? Then what's the point of you learning that skill? What's the point of your knowledge? What's the point of your wisdom? So when all these three things come together in a healthy balance is only when you can call someone learned or educated. So when we build skills, when we equip young people for 21st century, we really, really need to work on all these three aspects. We need to give them knowledge. We need to give them this ability to build their own skills. And most importantly, we also need to give them the right set of attitudes so that they can challenge social norms, so that they can build a more free and equal world. As educators, I feel this is really, really what we need to be doing with our young people and ourselves. So let's move to the last bit of the presentation today, which is how do we equip young people for 21st century skills? Here's the story of Momita, who is from Pune, and this is her amazing jugaad to teach chemistry to her own students. So this really is the spirit with which we need to understand how to build skills for young people, despite the 1,000,000,000 challenges that we face as educators. Yes, Mary, gender perspective, always gender equality. So some of the strategies, I'll quickly share this. There's not enough time to go over each strategy because Trainer Tribe is a beautiful space that discusses all of these strategies independently as well. So please be engaged on this platform for you to know how to build these strategies. Right now, I'll just explain, or rather, I'll just introduce these strategies. So firstly, like Momita, we need to also learn the art of guard as educators. And it's an important strategy we need in order to build 21st century skills among young people. We need to first gather the quality and the skill of self-reflection, also induce that in young people, give them enough number of opportunities to reflect, to ask critical questions, to understand themselves better. The next strategy is to use blended learning. I cannot say enough about blended learning. I mean, being at Quest, I've really seen the effect, the impact, the beauty of blended learning, and it's very, very powerful impact on young people. So that's a beautiful learning strategy that we need to, inculcate. Then the skill of self-learning and digital skills. This is a very important need of the 21st century. Again, self-learning is a topic we keep talking about a lot, and Jayashree also did a beautiful masterclass on self-learning. If you want, go back on Trainer Tribe and listen to that session as well to get your ideas about how to build self-learning in young people. Then this important concept of market scanning. Equipping young people to go out into the market, understand by themselves through a trial and error method, through a questioning method, through an inquiry method about what is it that is required in the market. What does the market demand? What does the market want from young people? What is the market ready to pay? So being able to do this process called market scan is extremely, extremely important. It's a very smart way to educate a young person. Another is the mindset of job versus career. Is your young person entering the job market just for the sake of a job, or are they here to build their career? This is a big differentiation that young people need to understand, because the first job is always difficult. It's filled with lot of work, less amount of money, maybe too many demands on them, and many young people come back to us and say, I don't want to do this job, it's too difficult, it's too demanding, etc., etc. So building that mindset, the long term thinking mindset of career mindset, is also extremely important. It's an important strategy. Finally, this is specially shout out to all our ITI trainers, shout out to our engineering college educators. Pre-counseling right at the time of admission is extremely important, because our young people enter into the technical training space without really knowing what trade or what stream of engineering they're entering into. They don't know if they're actually interested in it. They don't know if their abilities lie in that space. They don't know if that's what they really want to do, in their career space. So kindly implement the idea and the practice of pre-counseling at the time of admission. Finally, most important, my favorite, which is feedback and analysis. Again, we're using data for this particular piece. Giving feedback to oneself, taking feedback from the learner, building a culture of feedback in the learner, and analyzing that feedback to see the trends, understanding the feedback for our own growth, for their growth as well. These are some strategies that we could use to build 21st century skills among young people. If you don't understand this, or if you want to know more about any of these strategies, please leave it as questions on Trainer Tribe, and we'll share more data, we'll share more information with you about these concepts. Great, so I am done here. Any questions, any thoughts, please feel free to share. And now I pass it over to Lenin. I enjoyed my time, and thanks a lot. Thanks to Trainer Tribe, and thanks to all of you for being super responsive.
Thank you, Sushmitha. I mean, we definitely went over time, but I'm sure that none of us were bored. We were very engaged with examples and definitely with your facilitator self. So like how Sushmitha mentioned, if you have any questions, we do have a paucity of time, but we'll try addressing maybe one or two questions, but the rest of the questions can be addressed on Trainer Tribe Facebook page. Sushmitha is also part of the community, so she would be more than happy to engage conversations there. So there are any burning questions, any burning thoughts that you have, please quickly put it out on the chat box, and Sushmitha would address it. So there are some comments coming up. Very good presentation, madam. Thanks to the organizers. Mary Isabella saying, thank you, Sushmitha. Prabhu saying, very good session. Brinda has an important point that she's adding. One more strategy could be of collaboration. I'm guessing that, yes, Sushmitha did mention about collaboration, and what you're seeing right now is a live example of collaboration, which we are all part of right now, the Trainer Tribe Masterclass. So thank you for that. Yeah, so there are a lot of thanks coming for you, Sushmitha, for engaging such a wonderful session on a Saturday morning. Yeah, so one of the questions, SM, so I'm not sure who the person is. SM is asking, what are the trade-offs for a young learner in a new organization interested in building a career?
Wow, very interesting question. When we say trade-offs, I'm not very sure what you mean, but I'll try to answer as best as I can. When they enter a new organization, especially if it's a first job, the person who's entering that job space needs to understand that there is definitely a big difference between a job and a career. A job is what I'm doing right now, but career is what I'm building for the long term. So if there are challenges right here, right now, there needs to be a seeking for mentorship. There needs to be a seeking for role modeling in order for me to help myself overcome those challenges. There also needs to be the attitude of self-learning and continuous learning for me to be able to navigate through the challenges of that present job, so that I am in the path of career building. Also, self-awareness is very important. I'll give you an example of what happened to me. I was in a radio station called Radio Mirchi. I was enjoying myself because it was fun, it was cool. It was filled with all the happening things. But I would come back home, and I would not be feeling good at all, and I didn't know why. And that was because I was not looking at my job as a job. I was not understanding it from a career perspective. And it took a lot of reflection for me to understand this is not my space. Even though I'm enjoying it, this is not my ability or my interest area. So understanding this is a vital thing, to be able to navigate through a first or a second job, and then understand what is the path one needs to take to build their career. I don't know if I've answered your question. I genuinely hope I did.
Prabhu, I definitely see your question, but I think we are slightly tight with time. So I will definitely give this question to Sushmita, and she can definitely try engaging it on the Trainer Track platform. So the question is how to do pre-counseling as students could join through government counseling. So I'm sure Sushmita would have some thoughts to share, and she could definitely take that conversation on Trainer Tribe. So
we're trying to build some strategies around that. It's a very, very tricky topic. I'll definitely respond to you.
Thank you, Sushmita. So there are Mary Isabella saying preparing for employability is good. The need for the hour is also self-employment. Great point, Mary Isabella. I think we did cover that too. We're talking about self-learning and digital skills. Very inspiring, very motivating session. Great. So so before we actually let go and end this masterclass, I'm launching a poll, which is the feedback poll. So I would request each one of you to quickly give us feedback. It'll take a couple of seconds. And then once we're done, maybe we can definitely end the meeting. So the poll is launched right now. So please give your responses. So 41 percentage, 45 percentage of participants have given their poll responses. So we'll wait for another couple of seconds and then we'll close the poll. All right, so that's about it. Thank you, everyone.